Vigo was born happy. One can tell it by the way he smiled in front of difficulties. Perhaps that was the reason he didn't take the uprising seriously. He hadn't a good opinion of the first leader. Either he thought he had been born to last. He was wrong, not only about the lasting, but the good opinion of him he was going to have. He started to work at the factory when he was a youngster. He didn't feel like studying, and his parents didn't feel like supporting him. His father got the job for him. It was almost a tradition. Father's descendants got a job, qualified or not. Vigo was not qualified, but he learned quickly, integrated easily, and having his own money to spend at the end of the month motivated him to do a good job. He got raised as long as his knowledge let him, and even started to feel the need of going back to his studies to step forward his career. He got to be present when they started to negotiate the changes in the supply. They were his partners that chose him to represent them. They trusted him even though he had never campaigned. It was enough for them to know that he was on their side in the worst moments, when something failed, when someone failed, when there was nobody else to blame. Perhaps due to his optimism, perhaps due to his innocent way of seeing the best of everyone, perhaps due to his youth, or to his inexperience. Not even looking back, knowing what he knew, could find the moment the first sign of change had passed in front of him without realizing. Round the table were sitting the president of the company, the official trade union representative, the representative of the company in the city, the production manager, the supply manager, several city representatives, somebody from the press, somebody from the government. He tried hard to pay attention all the time that uncle wrapped in a shoe as sophisticated as elegant let him. He saw it in a moment. He turned his head not to exchange glances with the official trade union representative. Vigo didn't like him. He had stuffed himself with rubbing it in about the much Vigo owed to his father. He just knew it. His father told him not to take notice of him, that he also was somebody's pet, not his father's, but someone of the management office. But Vigo was not that kind of reproaching things. He knew who he was, and where he was, and he did his job, and that must be enough. The uncle was moving delicately up and down, just a few centimeters. It stopped afterwards. Then it started to move again. There are going to be big changes, but the new supply guarantees a production 10 times higher than the current. It's no doubt it will mean a clear improvement, the president of the company said. Vigo heard the big changes thing without linking it with a sinister future. He linked it with what they had told him in that training course months before. Changes promised a more comfortable work, more adjusted shift, less danger, less difficulties. His partners agreed with him, although for some of them it sounded more like cuts, not like they happened to be, but that kind of cuts that lead to unemployment. And even so, they didn't see the evil side it showed afterwards. It's not necessary to say that the city supports this initiative, in the way it means a real drive to our development, the most important of all. One of the city representatives said while the uncle kept still, placed on the ground. Egon realized then who did that object of desire belong to. It was not the only part of the feminine anatomy that attracted his attention. He was, with the eyes open, a great women's lover, of all kinds, of all classes. However, he wasn't a predator, he was a lover, not a collector. For him, women weren't a target, they were worth living, smiling, and enjoying for. And as a great observer of that mystery of nature known as woman, realized it that Uncle was covered by a too elegant and too sophisticated shoe to belong to a city representative. He had understood that civil servants were boring, with no imagination, that they were dull people,